Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Toby, and I am the Disability Income Specialist here at One Resource Group. And I would like to welcome you to our fourth installment of webinars in May that coincide with Disability Income Awareness Month. And today we have invited Jack Levy and Chad Stuckey with Principal Financial to lead our presentation. Jack is the Regional Director for Business Solutions, and Chad is the Regional Director for Executive Benefits. The primary focus of their presentation today is effective strategies to open and close more DI sales in the business owner market. They are going to discuss how you can help your clients to protect their income, protect their business, and also their key employees. And they are also going to talk about implementing strategies to grow your practice, how to build deeper relationships with your clients, and protecting their overall financial health. And finally, they're going to discuss ideas, options, and updates with disability insurance from Principal Financial. At any time during the presentation, please feel free to send any questions through the chat feature. And at the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. So at this time, I'd like to present our experts in the business owner market, Jack Levy and Chad Stuckey with Principal Financial. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having us. Jack, you there? Hello?
Became Unum. My first day on the job, my boss told me I should learn disability buy-sell coverages, disability key person coverages. And the reason it wasn't because the market was so big at the time in 1986, it was because the market share that my company had was kind of low. So I needed to go somewhere different. So I've been in this space for a long time. I came to Principal in 1995 because I witnessed firsthand a disability buy-sell go wrong, where the owners of the company I was with before I came to Principal basically fell apart because one had a disability. They didn't insure the buy-sell and created animosities. And 14 months later, when the one came back from his health issue, they broke up. And I ended up Principal in 1995. So I've been in the business owner market space since that time. I've helped advisors implement and design, fund all kinds of executive benefit arrangements. So the idea that Chad and I want to share with you is really about consulting, and you win when you consult. I'll spend a little bit of time on product, but I want to just share with you some thoughts I've seen in my 30 years of Principal and what some other owners that are not Principal clients are telling us. So Chad, I'm going to need you to help me here. Move on to the next slide. I want to share with you some opportunities in the business owner space. This is a slide I like to use a lot because our phone rings at Principal. You know, you might think, who's Principal? We're an insurance company, but people may not know this, but we've been doing pension plans since the 40s. We have over 50,000 401k clients, over 100,000 group benefit clients. We are the largest provider of administration in the executive benefit non-qualified arena. Some 30,000 clients. So we see a lot of things, but we engaged Dyneta, a third party, to ask non-Principal clients since 2008, as it pertains to your owner and employee benefits, what's your priority? And if you see up at the top, business protection, many advisors see that and say, well, they must want to maybe buy some term insurance for their life insurance buy-sell, or some disability insurance maybe for key people and buy-sell. That's right. These owners, the 30 million small business owners, look at three potential risks. What would happen if a mission critical employee or a fellow owner got disabled, died, or left early? And so I want to share with you, our phone rings because owners want to protect their business. It's most important to them. But look at the bottom left, exit planning. And if you see that green box since 2008, now remember, this is over 1,000 clients every other year, or now we're doing it every year, that are telling us these are owner operators. These aren't companies that aren't owned by private equity or some in the trenches. So if you listen to anything I have to say today in the next 15 minutes is, I like to say, paint the target. Find me companies that are closely held, one to 3 to 4 business owners, good, vibrant company with a cash flow. They got a good checkbook, and they plan on being around. They're worried about exit planning that has turned into succession planning because of a couple things. Baby boomer owners aren't getting any younger, and COVID made everybody sit back and think about their lives and their futures. And we're starting to see more transition planning than ever. And why am I doing all this to tee up disability? Because as you think about disability insurance, what would happen if a mission critical employee or owner died? Fine, we all know that. But what if they get disabled? What happens to that business, the equity in that business? I like to tell business owners, let's talk about disabilities as a part of your business protection. So next slide. And I'm going to share with you a couple interesting statistics here in a minute. So where we're going with this next slide is this, is as you start thinking about businesses and consulting, we all want to sell product. We want to help you sell product. But when you start thinking about what's the value of a business, we have a service at Principal, and we've been doing this for about 12 years now, where we've done over 15,000 informal business valuations. Now, I like to say, if a company's willing to give you some financials, 3 years financials, do you think you actually have your foot in the door with providing some consultation? So if you're an advisor, I like to say a top-down marketer where you're talking to business owners every day, if you can get them to get access to their financials, we will do a business valuation. We will do it on an informal basis. You know, formal valuations might cost $10,000, $15,000. We're going to do it where we're going to provide some expertise and create strategic conversations about retirement for business owners, death, disabilities, and what would happen to that business. Remember, protecting their business is top of mind. Succession planning for those 30 million small business owners is top of mind as well. So how would an impact like a disability hurt that business? So next slide. We will provide valuation methods. And those valuation methods come in multiple different ways. But within this, we'll also have a conversation. We have attorneys and CPAs that look at these every day. These aren't just run through a mill. One of our attorneys and our bench, I'll put up to any in the industry, will help beyond the call with you, with us, to figure out what kind of strategies to talk about. Is it a sole shareholder? Is there multiple owners? How old are you? Sons and daughters coming in the business? What's the transition going to look like? Do you pay it lump sum? I like to say business owners get to a fork in the road someday, and they're either going to sell internally or externally, and you better be prepared for it. Get the car detailed before you sell it. Get your business detailed. Help your business owner clients know that there's a value add out there that you can bring through ORG and Principal to have these great conversations. Now, the second piece of those conversations is a buy-sell review. Next slide, Chad. And if you look at the buy-sell review, this is really important. I like to say these buy-sells are all messed up. So go to the next slide, Chad. We have done over 3,000 buy-sell reviews at Principal. And there's a court case that I want to share with you in a minute, but let me just share with you what we've found in 3,000 buy-sell reviews and why the business valuation buy-sell review consultative way of getting indoors is going to lead to a lot of product sales. But let me share with you how messed up these buy-sell agreements are. We've done over 3,000 buy-sell agreements reviewed. 50% of them hadn't even been reviewed in over 5 years. 25% of them hadn't been reviewed in over 10 years. 38% of them weren't even properly executed. 25% of them had old owners in the agreement. Think about that. Old owners that are no longer with the company are in a business will. Now remember, protecting your business is top of mind, but these business owners are telling us, and they got old owners in the buy-sell agreement. Here's the big one that's dear to our heart in DI Awareness Month. Over 67% of them don't even mention the word disability in the buy-sell agreement. And I've lived through it. And then here's the funny one. Dozens of them didn't even have signatures. They had missing signatures. So Here's the next thing I want to share with you that's really, really important, why you want to do a business valuation, buy-sell review, and offer it to your small, medium business clients as a value add. Go to the next one, because there's a real live court case out there, and it's called the Connolly case. And this, again, business owner slant to this presentation, win on consulting by providing value. The Connolly brothers started a business in 2001. And they executed a buy-sell agreement, pretty common, and they shoved it in the drawer. Well, 13 years later, Michael Connolly, the majority shareholder, the older brother, passed away. Well, their buy-sell agreement in it said, you will do certain things annually. You will determine the value. You will provide a backup appraisal if you don't do the annual determination. And so you had a $3 million death benefit. Now, I know I'm talking life insurance for a minute. You had a $3 million death benefit come into the company, and they decided just to buy out the family, and everybody thought everything was fine. Go to the next slide. Except the IRS came in and audited and said, guys, that buy-sell agreement, there's nothing there. You didn't even do a thing. It's practically null and void. So therefore, when that money came in from the life insurance, it just became part of your value. So guess what? Under IRS audit for your federal estate tax purposes, you now owe $1 million of tax because you didn't do it right. So where I'm going with this is the 11th Circuit Court years ago had the same case and said, no, that buy-sell agreement was valid, no problem. The 8th District Court up at the top just recently said the reverse. No, that buy-sell agreement isn't worth a thing. And then that's the audit that tripped it. It is now at the Supreme Court. I was talking to an advisor in Washington, D.C. last 2 weeks ago, and he said, you know what, my attorney told me about a federal state tax case that was at the courthouse while he was there. And he said it was kind of complicated, and he told me about it later. Well, we both looked it up online, and you sure as hell can look at it. Connolly is now up at the Supreme Court. Where this will go, folks, is there's two kinds of buy-sell agreements, entity purchase and cross-purchase. I'm not here to say which one's better than the other. But what might end up coming out of the Supreme Court is entity purchase agreements need to be redone. That would upheave the entire industry. And I would say this, a small, medium business owner who has a buy-sell agreement, and they have a couple partners, or maybe they're even on their own, should have any agreements looked at. And that's a value add you can bring. It's fresh news. It's something that is going on right now at the Supreme Court. And in the light of the Connolly case, just at least tell them, you see a lot of messed up buy-sell agreements. Your partners at ORG can get you access to providers that will do a due diligence review, no cost, no harm. And you'll be surprised how much we can get indoors and provide value and move some product, life products, disability products, investment products by using this disruptor to get in. Paint the target. Who do you know with 1 to 4 owners, closely held, good cash flow, plan on being around, that you can just say, hey, let's get another set of eyes looking at your agreements. And you have a partner that will help you. Next slide. So this just rounds it out. The whole agreement was messed up, and by not doing a thing, they were viewed as really a null and void, a nothing liability. And here comes this big life insurance. They just added it to the value of the company for state tax purposes, and a lot of people weren't happy. Next slide. So I'm kind of going to round this out. We want to make sure these buy-sell agreements handle these triggering events: death, disability, divorce, bankruptcies. You know, people just want to leave. How do you leave if you're a partner? And then lastly, when it all is said and done, we are doing a lot in the disability buy-sell, disability key person. And think of a disability, go to the next slide. Disability buy-sell is simply this before I turn it over to Chad. Partners get together, they create a buy-sell agreement, they create proper structure for disabilities as well as life insurance, And instead of doing nothing, they go out to a carrier and they find someone that will provide a lump sum or installments at some date in the future, maybe 1 year trigger. You know, big boys get together and say, if you get totally disabled 12 months into it, we're going to buy you out over time or in lump sum, and you insure it. The same thing with key person insurance. We also can do that where, again, employee were to get totally disabled, it might take, you know, loss of revenue, headhunter fees, relocation costs to find that new employee. In and of itself, there's a value there. You don't want to lose your equity. Maybe you insure your key people in case of a death or disability. Disability month, we're bringing it up every day. And then lastly, you know, companies have big loans out there. They're insuring those loans. What happens if an employee got totally disabled? Could they meet those notes at those banks? Sometimes these are wonderful little protection of your business strategies. So we're here to help. I'm going to turn it over to Chad Stuckey right now. He's got some neat stuff going on in restoration plans, helping employers carve out employees and give them more, make them DI ready. So with that, thank you, and I'll turn it over to Chad.
All right, thanks, Jack. So again, my name's Chad Stuckey. I work in the executive benefits, the regional director. So where I come into play and I help a lot of people with those group benefits that maybe you've got some high income earners that just aren't getting their full benefit because unfortunately they have that reverse discrimination because they make too much money. So I've been selling disability. I've had my own practice for 18 years, working with primarily, I was one of those guys that work with physicians and executives, making sure that they've got their benefits, their disability insurance covered. And now I'm working here helping you guys and understand how this works. But let's talk more about the making sure we're taking care of those executive benefits. So when we look at this is an example that I use in a lot of cases to kind of get people to understand how this might work. Because what we can actually offer is a guaranteed standard issue, meaning no medical underwriting whatsoever. So Principal has an offering that we can actually come in and look at what a group benefit has. And then this example, there's a group benefit for this company of 60% to 6,000. Actually, I believe this is 60% to 7,000. I don't think it was updated. 60% to 7,000 monthly benefit, knowing that if anybody's making over $140,000 a year, they're not getting their full benefit because they're not getting their full 60%. So when we look at that, this is something that we actually provide to our brokers to take to those employers to say, hey, you know what, Mr. Employer at Sample Company, you actually have 9 high income employees that are receiving an income replacement of 44%. Your highest earner is actually being provided 29%. We can actually put together a restoration plan so we can restore the benefits for all those involved to make sure that all those people that have those red dots are getting their full benefit. Because when we're putting together those plans as a group benefits, right, we're wanting to try and take care of everybody and get them as much as they're eligible for. And when we tell people, and when you're sitting down with your clients and you say, do you have group coverage or do you have individual disability? Yeah, I've got 60% through work. Well, how much do you have? It's taken care of. I've got 60%, right? Not everybody knows that maybe I'm not getting my 60% because I'm one of the people up here that makes that much money that I'm outperforming. So these are the people that we want to really work with on these lines. So with this guaranteed standard issue option, how does this work? We can actually offer census enrollment. And what I mean by census enrollment is everybody on the call has probably at some point in time or another written an individual policy where you went and found your client, you take the application, you get them through underwriting, and you're like, got your fingers crossed, hope we get this through underwriting. Comes back, we deliver the policy, everything's finalized. With census enrollment, this guaranteed standard issue, when we're looking at those high executives that aren't getting their full benefit, we're looking to implement an individual policy, the exact same contract that you would get if they went through underwriting with the principal income protector, knowing this in our own occupation policy, we can actually do this census enrolled, which means there's no medical underwriting whatsoever. So I'm sure everybody's like, I wish I could do no medical underwriting, right? Not having to go through that medical underwriting. So census enrolled, we actually, the way we do this is we have to have 5 lives and it has to be employer paid. So we're not doing this in a voluntary aspect. So there's no pre-existing conditions. It's, are you working today for those employees? You actually set the class. So maybe you say anybody making over and not getting their full 60%, or anybody in the C-suite, any of the executives, anybody in the leadership role. You set the class, but we have to have 100% participation within that class. We're actually able to do annual updates. So as opposed to doing benefit update, that's not included on this contract. However, every year, we just have to do an annual update with a census. If someone's eligible for more benefit, we actually offer that to them. There's no medical underwriting or any doctor's records or any APS or anything along those lines either. Portability, knowing that we can take this contract if we are no longer employed by that employer and we decide to go somewhere else. If we were one of those people that had this contract, that contract will actually stay with us. The benefit will stay the same, the premium will stay level, and we move this along right along with us. There's no proof of insurability. The discounts are substantial, where we're actually able to start with unisex rates, and they start at unisex 20% discounts, and they actually go up from there. The more lives you have, the better occupation classes you have, the bigger the discounts can get. We can actually get up to unisex 35% discounts. So again, we're looking to restore those benefits by implementing a restoration plan. Restore those benefits because they make too much money, and we have that concern of a reverse discrimination, right? And how does this help you? I mean, it makes you a differentiator. You're bringing something to the table. Maybe you do group benefits and you've got cases like this, or maybe you know the owners or the HR or the executives in that company. But being able to bring something to the table that someone else hasn't brought is going to set you apart. And we all know that these employers are looking to recruit, reward, and retain, because that's what everybody's looking to do now. They need to have the best benefits. They need to have the best package. So what can you offer? So when we look at this example, coverage without IDI, right? How does that work? When we've got 5 executives, like I said, we need 5, but this is just showing the top 5. And you can see the annual base salaries. Total compensation, group LTD, 5,000 cap, 5 to 6,000. We're generally seeing that as a standard. It's not the only option, but we do see more. When we look at the example, knowing that there's 60% of base to a max of 5,000, 90-day elimination period, 67 benefit period, taxable. We look at executive 1, because of his income, he makes $300,000 a year. He is receiving 20% replacement income if anything should happen based upon group alone. Does he even know that? Maybe, maybe not. And we go all the way down to executive 5 at $140,000 a year at 43%. So what we actually look at doing is putting together a restoration plan, like I'd mentioned. And this graph here is part of the presentation that we can actually put together to show, you know what, that group LTD is there and it's great and it's a great base. But how do we really take care of things? So if you look down at the bottom there at $100,000 of income, you can see that 60% starts to come down, then 150, then 200, 250. You can see the percentages continue to decrease. So with this example, what we actually come back and do based upon the census, we look at saying, you know what, we will offer you an additional $7,500 of monthly benefit. So what we'll do in addition to any group LTD is say we will, in conjunction with that, provide 60% to a max of $7,500. So now we just went and took anybody making $100,000 or less is getting their full 60%, to knowing that we're able to get up to $250,000 or under. We're helping replace more of that income, especially for these key people. So again, there it says enrollment, actively at work, mandatory participation for the class that we set. And for this example, we're just doing we can look at the class that's over 100,000, or we can change that. 90-day elimination period to stage 67 benefit period. Residual, we're getting all the contract planning riders that you would put on any individual contract on this as well. And it, like I said, it's the exact same contract. So by doing this, all of a sudden now we are saying, as opposed to going 30% and 40%, executive one, we're actually able to get him up to 50%. Down to executive 5, 3, 4, and 5, based upon their income and how much we can offer. Now we are restoring that benefit to that full 60%. Now we can run these taxable. We can run these bonus up. We can add and we can change the riders as you see fit. Not everybody wants to have all the riders, but it does help to make, like I said, the differentiator. So when we look at everything here, when we're talking about principal disability insurance, and principal, whether it's individual underwritten, whether it's guaranteed issue, whether it's a business need, like Jack had spoke about, Principal's the only carrier out there that's actually going to be able to take care of all your needs with one place. You look at your individual needs, your disability insurance, your disability retirement security, knowing that I'm going to be taken care of if anything happens to me, and I'm going to continue to be able to live the lifestyle and continue to keep my standard of living, as well as retirement security, being able to fund my retirement plan, even though I'm not earning an income. When we look at our business needs, business overhead, loan protector, disability buyout, key person replacement, all these things that you need to discuss when you are working with those business owners, as I know everybody on this call is working with. And then in addition to that, like you said, buy, sell, and business valuation. Because when we're looking at funding a buy, sell with the buyout, how do we know what we need? Principal's going to help on those lines. And then guaranteed standard issue options. We have individual. We have key person replacement. So there's different ways of being able to solve the need. And that's where one resource group is going to be able to help you guys get in touch with them. They'll reach out to us. However you guys see best, but we're just here to be a resource. So with that, thank you for your time. I was going to say, I think we're going to leave it up for questions. Mark, if you had questions out there.
Yeah, Chad, I got a couple of questions so far, but if there's agents on the line, now is the time to send in that question through the chat feature, and we will try to get our best to get that question answered for you. First question that we had is, how do you get a quote for the guaranteed standard issue policy?
Yep, good question. So for us to get a quote prepared for you, all that we need is we need to have a census. And with that census, you can reach out to Mark. Mark has the example of the census, but what we'll need is name, date of birth, male or female, what is your occupation title, and income. And with that, along with what their group LTD is, we can put together a quote for you on those lines. And then we can go over that with you as well. And when you have that quote and you're going to present it to one of your clients, I'm more than happy to jump on the call with you as well to help educate on those lines.
Next question, Chad, we have someone is asking what the minimum amount of employees or group size is required for the GSI plan.
The only minimum is that we need to have 5 eligible. So if we have a group of 7, if we have 5 people eligible, now if when I say that, there's also an asterisk saying, in a lot of cases, there's smaller groups like that don't have group LTD, but maybe they want to do something like this as opposed to doing LTD, right? Because the individual policy, it's going to have some better, stronger language. We can actually offer that, but we're only going to be, the maximum will be 60% to 5,000. So we can offer it without LTD underlying, but we're going to look at a 60% to 5,000 max.
All right. We do have a few more questions. The next question, the agent is asking, are there any occupations that do not qualify for that guaranteed standard issue plan?
Yep. So when we look at that guaranteed issue, when we are, Mark, I'm going to have to get you the updated because there's a couple states that were behind, not getting up to date with having the approval for the census enrollment. But any state we can do. However, if we want to do census enrollment, we're going to have to, we can't do medical groups. So we're not going to do physician groups, which I'm sure there's a big sigh out there. I hear that a lot. Not being able to do medical groups. We actually do not do car dealerships. And for attorney groups, we love attorney groups. We have great ratings. We have a great occupation class for them. However, they will need to go through the e-enrollment, which means they will have a couple questions they will have to answer. Meaning, in the past 90 days, have you been sick or hurt? Do you have any other IDI, individual disability in force, that maybe you pay for? And are you a tobacco or nicotine user in the past 12 months? So those are questions that are not asked with the census enrollment. In majority of the states, there's only a handful that are still there that are not fully census enrolled. But we are working on that today.
And if I could just add on to that, Chad, so you mentioned just now that if they're in a state that doesn't qualify for census enrollment,
yep,
then you have the enrollment, and there's a couple of questions, health questions, but and you also have to ask for individual. If they have any individual, which you would have to factor in the equation on how much they can get. But just want to reiterate on when it is qualified for census enrollment, you are not taking into account any individual plans that they may have on top of their group plan. Is that right?
You are correct. So when we do the census, the census is the application. So when and I assume Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming most everybody on this call has written at least one IDI or knows the process of underwriting an IDI policy. So with this, there's no application. It is literally, you send the census in. Once you say, hey, this group wants to move forward, you send a final census in with corrections, and if there's anything we need to update, that is the application. The application, we will take care of everything from then. There are roughly 3 forms that will need to be signed. And as opposed to an application on One Life where you're going to have 6, 7 signatures by you and the insured, On these lines, there's going to be one signature for the employer, and I believe 3 for you as the advisor. And that is it. It is incredibly easy. When you've in the past, like the last step of the policy for you to receive compensation on this is to deliver that policy. We actually will take care and deliver the contracts for you. So you're not even having to deliver the contract. We'll take care of delivering that. There's no delivery receipt that's needed. And annually, as people incomes increase, we're easily able to increase that. No signatures as well, just the census. And as long as you say, yep, that looks good, it'll be on the next invoice. Incredibly easy. If anybody comes onto the contract during the year, they're eligible to jump on this as well. And they are immediately eligible if they fall within the class.
All right. Hey, I've got a couple more questions, and I'm going to put a couple of them together to save a little time.
Sure.
But we got a question from an agent asking if the plans are available, the GSI plans available in New York. And another agent has asked if real estate agents would qualify.
Are they available in New York? Yes. This is eligible in New York. It will not be eligible for census in New York. So New York is definitely one, and for all of us that have done New York, it does get a little bit hairier sometimes with licensing and contracting and some things on those lines in New York, but we are not there yet. New York is one of the states that we can do guaranteed issue. It is not census enrolled, so it would be those the e-enroll. But like I said, the e-enroll, exactly to let you know what that is being able to send out an email. And what we do for that is we send 2 emails. The first email is going to have a small verification code. The second email, you take that verification code from the first, put in the second, and there's 6 questions. They just click through, and that's it. So it's not a handwritten application. They can do it at any point in time, very quick. Real estate agents, I believe we can do. I'll have to confirm how we do that. But 1099 is a lot of real estate agents that I see, and most. So we'd have to see how they are structured. So if you have an idea of how they're structured, if someone has something on those lines they want to have a conversation, I'm more than happy to. But I'd hate to say yes or no until I know all the facts on how they're put together, how that company's put together.
Okay, for the agent with that question, if you want to reach out to me and we can get you a final answer on that. We just have one more question. It's going to be fast and easy. It looks like it's we have another agent asking if the plan would be eligible in California.
California, it is eligible as well. Yes, it is not, but we are I believe New York is going to take a little bit of time yet for it to be census enrolled. I think California, we're getting closer, but I think California is one of 5 states or so that's going to be getting finalized here before too long. But yes, we can do this in California with the e-enrollment, but the guaranteed issue is available, yes. And to put, and I think, Mark, we had spoke about this, when we say California, New York, Ohio, Indiana, what we are going to look at is where is the headquarters of the company. So maybe you're in California, but the headquarters of the company is in Chicago. So now this is actually an Illinois plan. And everybody, even if it's an Illinois plan and they live in California, because we do this as Citus, we would actually be able to do census enroll on that. So we would have to talk about it because it can kind of confusing here initially, but it all's going to depend upon where the headquarters of the company is.
Okay, Chad, we do have another question, and the agent is asking if the GSI plans are portable. For example, when a member of the class leaves the organization, can he or she keep the coverage?
100%. The premium stays exactly level, the benefit stays the same, and you just continue it. So if it's an invoice, as an employer, you would need to let us know that that person is no longer on the invoice and that we need to remove them, and then reach out to them and say, hey, you know what, you can continue this contract on paying the exact same premium, and now you have that principal income protector policy, and you still continue all the discounts.
All right, well, that looks like it's our last question, Chad, and I certainly want to thank both you and Jack Levy for your time today. There's a lot of useful information. If there's agents on the line here that have some additional questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will make sure that those questions get answered. We do quite a bit of business with Principal, and so their business products lead the marketplace. So if this looks like it might be a good fit, please reach out to me. If you need my quote request form, you can do that, or feel free to give me a call directly. So Chad and Jack, thank you so much. I appreciate your presentation today. And for all agents on there, thanks a lot and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mark.